I'm endowed with the self-chosen blessing of not being in any way convinced by either creationism or the Darwinist model of the origins of life. This blessing allows me to stand outside of the World War III scenario unfolding between fundamentalist Christians and fundamentalist Darwinism that seems to manifest in the public podium of YouTube comments. I make very few friends on either sides of the divide, and I fear opening my mouth in the realm of this war zone because I instantly draw flack from everyone. Because of my neutrality, the perspective that I've gained is very important to anyone involved in this never-ending bitch fest who is remotely interested in self-development. If you're not interested in virtues like conscious self-reflection or withholding anger, aversion, or inner talk until the other is finished making a point, then I politely ask you to turn this off and go fulfill your need for conflict and superiority elsewhere. Years ago, when this debate really blossomed, people took this matter to all four corners of the internet to iron out the problem. As with every great movement or social upset, the momentum died down, and now there is very little debate of the issue going on with the exception of YouTube, where it has recently become the territory of the psychologically ill trying to impress their adopted worldviews on others. A meaningless war between two opposing ideologies, reduced to the viewing of the other through the myopic lens of their respective schools of thought, with nothing to go on but the limited data that 400 characters or 15 minutes of video can relate. It's the playground of blind psychological projection. I make a distinction between internet users when it comes to creationism versus evolution. I'm not particularly concerned with whether this person chooses to argue for one side or another. What catches my attention are the two main groups of people that populate both sides. The ordinary person who simply feels that one way of seeing this is the correct way and is willing to share what he knows, and then the person who has armored himself up to the teeth with the memes, key arguments, and semantical structures of the side that they have picked is right, and deem their fellow man to be ignorant, heretical, what have you. This is the common denominator of the YouTube population. The one who speaks does not know, and the one who knows does not speak. And I use that quote advisedly and philosophically. It's okay to exchange knowledge in a supportive environment, but we certainly find that the most psychologically disturbed and existentially lost among us are the ones who yell their convictions from the rooftops and shove it in their face of his brother. Nobody in their right minds really wants to take part in a game like that, which is why the only people you actually see talking on YouTube are involved in a vicious argument unless they're trading inconsequential messages. No real debate or equal discussion occurs on YouTube anymore because the heavy-handed trolls have intimidated the fuck out of everyone else to the point that they don't even bother anymore. This of course isn't an attack on any particular group of humans, Christians or Darwinists. What I'm pointing out is a species-wide psychological pandemic where a few vicious souls, consciously or otherwise, mark out territory and run everybody else off of it. You might want to know why I'm so convinced, how I figured this is what's happening. Personal experience as a troll myself, and my own observations and perceptions is what has convinced me so. Isn't it funny how both fundamentalist Christians and fundamentalist materialists can't stand one man's contrary observations and perceptions? Anyway, hundreds if not thousands of trolls lay in wait on YouTube and other social networks for a naive animal, see ecology, who doesn't realize they're in a troll country, to stroll onto one of the many YouTube videos they've uploaded or subscribed to, so that they can deconstruct the 400 characters or less that this person has left behind in the hopes that people will endeavour to see their point, and extract any kind of flaw in what they said to prove this person is wholly ignorant and incapable of offering any substantial input to the debate. And whether they're correct in their convictions or not, these trolls endeavour to do this serially. Perhaps they're subtle in the beginning and quite respectful, truly attempting to enlighten their brother. But after every casting of their pearls before swine, they become more and more sour in their approach to these complete strangers. They talk at them like all the other stupid fucks they've had to deal with. I do feel that this is certainly a game for power play and feeling superior over easy prey, which there is plenty of in this world, of course. I can't seem to get the point out of my head that neither side of this debate will allow for personal experience and observation. That the data of X many decades of a human life is inconsequential to anything unless you've learned, think through, and completely believe in the words of the Bible or the semantical constructs of post-enlightenment materialism and Darwin's thesis. After that, you have to discard all the data in your life that doesn't agree with that strict model. I can expect this from Christianity since it's a religion, but it runs in contradiction to a model of reality where keeping dogma is antithetical to the seeking of truth. I guess that's the crux of my argument. There's no difference between a fundamentalist Christian and a fundamentalist materialist. I was once subscribed, and still am, to a reasonably well-mannered individual who took it upon himself to argue on YouTube videos against the creationist model. It got to the point where I'd see comments from him in my subscriptions feed every day. This isn't the way a mind is meant to be cared for, to be so immersed in a particular drama. So one day I simply replied to one of these comments, telling him that in fact he's trolling, and that it should be obvious to him by now, for the sake of his own health, that these people enjoy their ignorance and will keep him in conflict. I also pointed out how insulting he has been, and after this I haven't seen him partake in these arguments, not once to my knowledge. Is this you? Will you do as my friend has done? Will you cross the border into psychological sovereignty? Will you own your own shit, is what I'm asking.